Hello, how are you? I'm a little tired. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is August 6th, 2022. It's on Saturday. According to the weather forecast, it will be rainy at noon, but it will be temporary. The employee fired off an inappropriate remark, which led him to being criticized. The man fired off an inappropriate remark. The man fired off an inappropriate remark at the press conference, although he was told not to remark such comments in front of the public. The research firm launched rocket into the space. The space company fired off the rocket into the space. The space company fired off the space shuttle, fired off the rocket into the space. The firefighters fired off the water cannon in order to put out the fire from the burning house. The firefighters fired off the water cannon to the burning house to put out the fire, to erase the fire, to extinguish the fire. The firefighters fired off water cannon to the house, burning house. The lady was firing off a good scent of perfume. The teenagers were giving off scent of perfume. The lady was firing off a scent of perfume. The room was firing off bad smell. And since I was in the smoking spot, my clothes was firing off bad smell, so I don't want to go there anymore. I don't smoke a cigarette, but I went there with my coworkers to enjoy talking. The suspect was firing off many inappropriate comments at press conference at the court. The suspects were firing off many inappropriate comments at the court at the trial. The suspect was firing off many inappropriate comments at the court. I saw some lights fired off from the laser. I saw some lights being fired off from the facility into the sky. I saw some lights fired off from the amusement park into the sky. I saw some lights fired off into the sky from the amusement park. I saw some lights fired off into the sky from the amusement park. The man fired off an inappropriate comment at the press conference, although he was told not to do that by his lawyer. The man fired off an inappropriate comment in the press conference. The man fired off an inappropriate comment at the press conference. The man fired off an inappropriate comment at the press conference. The man fired off an inappropriate comment at the press conference. The man fired off an inappropriate comment at the press conference, although he was told not to do that by his lawyer. The lady was firing off a scent of perfume. The town still fires off distinctive smell from the food market. The fish market fires off distinctive smell, flavor from the fish, or other marine creatures. The fish market was firing off distinctive flavor, smell. The fish market was firing off distinctive smell. The fish market was firing off distinctive smell. The fish market was firing off distinctive smell. The company is going to fire off the rocket into the space. The space company is going to launch a rocket into the space. The company is going to fire off a rocket into the space. The company is going to fire off the satellite, artificial satellite, into the space. It will reach the orbit in about 20 hours. The teacher apologized for firing off the inappropriate comment at the company at the meeting. The lady was firing off good smell of perfume. Her hair was firing off good smell of shampoo. So I asked what kind of shampoo she uses, because I wanted to use the same one to get the same smell flavor from my hair. The lady was firing off good smell of shampoo from her hair, so I asked her which shampoo she is using. I'd like to have a word with you privately regarding the matter. I want to have a word. I want a word. I'd like a word with you privately regarding the matter. I want a word. I'd like a word with you privately regarding the matter. Regarding the matter. Your essay left nothing to be desired. Your essay left nothing to be desired regarding. It left nothing to be desired regarding your essay. I'd like to have a word with you privately as to the matter. As for the matter, I want to have a word. I want to have a word with you privately. I want a word with you privately. I want to have a word. I want to have a word with you privately as for the matter. As to the sales figures, it will be more than last year's because of the cheaper Japanese yen. As for the sales figures, it will be better than last year because of the cheaper Japanese yen. How do you like your current workplace? How do you like your current workplace? How do you like your current workplace? Could you explain? What are you explaining? Not many students can understand what the professor is explaining at the class. Many students could hardly understand what the professor was explaining on the board. Many students could hardly understand what the professor was explaining. Could you explain that again, please? No, I've already explained that to you. So you have to listen to me carefully. Not only you have to listen to carefully to not only me but to others. Not only me but also to others. You have to carefully listen to not only me but also to others. You have to listen to not only me but also to others carefully. so that you can understand once. The explanation written on the textbook was confusing and I couldn't make heads or tails of that, so I asked my teacher directly. The explanation on the textbook was very confusing and I couldn't understand at all, so I went to my teacher directly to ask the question to get better, concise explanations. The company has the responsibility to give the explanation for the accident. The CEO of the company has the responsibility for giving an explanation for the accident. The CEO of the company has the responsibility for giving an explanation of the accident. The airlines gave an explanation for the delay and sent apologies to the passengers. The airlines gave the explanation for the delay. The airlines gave an explanation for the delay. The railroad company gave an explanation for the delay. The government gave an explanation for the new rules, new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. The government gave an explanation for the new policy. I was not given explanation for how to use the machine, so I was at a loss. My boss did not give an explanation for how to use the machine, how to operate the machine, so I was at a loss. The school did not give an explanation for how to take trains, so I was so afraid of taking trains when I took it for the first time. I didn't know even how to buy the ticket and which train I should take. So I think the schools should teach us how to take trains as a preparation for going out to the society. The school should give us the explanation for how to take the trains because I struggled with that before I got used to it. My school should give an explanation for how to take trains because I had difficulty in taking trains until I got used to it. My school should have given explanation for how to take trains because I had difficulties in taking trains until I got used to it. I had troubles in taking trains until I got used to it. I have difficulties in taking trains until I got used to it. I had difficulties in taking trains until I got used to it. I had difficulties, I had troubles, I had problems. I had troubles in taking trains until I got used to it. It is no use persuading her. It is no use persuading her. It is no point persuading her. It is no use. It is no good persuading her. It is no use persuading her. It is no use persuading me. It is no good persuading me. There is no point in 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 persuading me. There's no telling what will happen in the future. There's no telling what will happen in the future. There is no persuading me. There is no point in persuading me. There is no point. There is no point in persuading me. There is no point in holding me back from pursuing my dreams. There is no point holding me back from pursuing my dreams. It is no use persuading me. It is no good persuading me. There is no point in persuading me. There is no point in persuading me. It is. The company has the responsibility for giving an explanation for the delay, for the accident, for the wrongdoing. The CEO of the company had the responsibility for giving an explanation for the wrongdoing. The employee did not give an explanation for his wrongdoing. The employee avoided giving an explanation for his delay. Please give us an explanation for the wrongdoing. Please give us an explanation for the delay, accident, incident, wrongdoing. Please give us an explanation for the delay. Could you give me an explanation for the equation? Could you give me an explanation for the equation because I cannot understand it? Could you give me an explanation for the equation because I could not understand the explanation written on the textbook. So that's why I came here directly. Could you give an explanation Could you give me an explanation for the equation and the theory? Because I could not understand, I could not comprehend, I could not make heads or tails of the explanation written on the textbook. That's why I came here directly to ask questions, to get better, concise explanations from you. Could you give an explanation for the equation? Could you give an explanation for the equation? Could you give an explanation of the theory? The employee did not give an explanation for his resignation. I'd like to give an explanation for the matter tomorrow. The trainer will give us an explanation for how to operate the machine tomorrow. His duty is to give an explanation for the organization to the new employees. His duty is to give an explanation for the system to the new employees. His duty is to give an explanation for the policy and so on to the new employees, freshmen. The teacher was giving an explanation for mathematics when the torrential rain happened. The torrential rain started. The school did not give us an explanation for how to take trains, so I had difficulties in taking trains until I got used to it. So I had difficulties in taking trains until I got to use it. I got used to it. Could you give me an explanation for the theory? Because I couldn't understand the explanation written on the textbook. The lawmaker gave an explanation for the new law, which will be effective, which will become effective from August 1st, which will come into effect from July 1st, become effective from June 1st. I'd like to give an explanation for why I could get more than 900 on TOEIC score. Many people are giving an explanation for how to get 900 on TOEIC score now. The weather forecast is giving an explanation for the current situation and where the typhoon is now. The weather forecast is going to give some explanations for typhoons today. The physicist and the professor is giving an explanation for the equation. The professor was giving an explanation for the equation concisely. Could you give an explanation for the equation concisely? The teacher gave an explanation for the equation concisely. The teacher gave us a more concise explanation for the equation. The teacher gave us an explanation for the equation more concisely than that in the textbook. His intention to challenge it was obvious, clear, evident, distinct from his face. I cannot see through your intention from your face. It's very difficult to see through his or her intention from his or her expression on their face. It's very difficult. It can be difficult to see through their intention from their expression, because the intention lies in their spirit, heart. Because intention sits in their heart, spirit, exists in their heart. Your intention was obvious. Your intention was distinct, evident, clear from the expression on your face. Could you tell me your intention to move to Tokyo? What is the intention? What is the biggest intention to move to Hokkaido? The car accident was caused by intention. The car accident was caused by intention. The mistake was caused by intention, on purpose. The mistake was arisen. The mistake was arisen. The mistake was aroused. The mistake was aroused by intention. The mistake was caused by intention. The mistake was arisen, aroused by intention. 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 He told a lie by intention. He told a lie by intention. He told the lie. He told the lie. He told the lie by intention to avoid misunderstanding, to avoid make her sad, to avoid making her sad. The doctor told the lie by intention so as to avoid making the patient sad. The family told the lie in order to avoid making him sad. In order to avoid making him sad. The mother of the daughter told a lie to the daughter in order to avoid making her sad. So as to avoid making her sad. By intention. The mother of the daughter told the lie. Told the lie by intention to the daughter in order to avoid making her sad. By intention. By intention. By intention. By intention. By intention. The mistake was caused by intention. The mistake was caused by intention. I took the wrong course by intention. I took the detour by intention. I took the detour by intention. I took the detour by intention, taking longer hours. I took the detour. I took the detour by intention. The employee beat around the bush and taking more minutes to earn the time till the end of the meeting. By intention, 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 by intention. By intention. By intention. I took the detour by intention. I took the detour by intention. I took the detour by intention. I skipped eating lunch by intention. I left 30% of the cuisine by intention to avoid getting full. Because if I eat 100% full at lunch, I will get sleepy. So in order to avoid the drowsiness after lunch, I left 30% of the cuisine by intention. I left 30% of the cuisine by intention on purpose in order to avoid drowsiness after that. Drowsiness. I intended to go to Taiwan in February, but due to the pandemic, I cancelled my trip. If the pandemic had not happened, if the pandemic had not had started, I would have gone to Taiwan in February 2020. We are intending to go to Osaka tomorrow. We are intending to go to Kyoto tomorrow. Where are you intending to go this summer? Where are you going to go to this summer? I intend to eat hamburger at the restaurant today. I cannot allow his intentional fraud. I cannot tolerate his intentional lies. I cannot allow his intentional lies. I cannot allow her intentional lies. I cannot allow her intentional lies. I cannot allow her intentional lies. I should have known better than to be deceived. I know 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 better than to be deceived. We should know better than to be deceived. We should know better than to be deceived. I cannot allow her intentional lies. 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 I cannot allow anyone's intentional lies. I cannot tolerate intentional tolerate. I cannot tolerate your intentional lies. Intentional, 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 intentional. I cannot allow her intentional lies. 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 Intentional. I cannot allow her intentional lies. Your intentional lies were obvious. Your intentional lies were obvious, evident, distinct, clear. Intentional lies should not be allowed. The accident was caused intentionally, by intention. The accident was caused intentionally, deliberately, on purpose, deliberately. The accident was caused, aroused, intentionally. The accident was caused intentionally. I took the detour intentionally. By intention. I took the detour intentionally. I took the detour intentionally. I skipped eating lunch 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 intentionally. 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 I took the detour intentionally. I took the wrong course intentionally. I took the wrong route intentionally. By intention. I left 30% of the cuisine intentionally in order to avoid drowsiness after eating lunch. I left 30% of the lunch in order to avoid feeling sleepy after the lunch. I left 30% of the lunch intentionally in order to avoid drowsiness. I was diagnosed with skin problems. I was diagnosed with flu, common cold. The doctor diagnosed me with flu. The doctor diagnosed me with nothing. Fortunately, the doctor diagnosed me with nothing, common cold. The doctor diagnosed me with common cold. I was diagnosed with common cold. I was diagnosed with common cold. He was diagnosed with alcoholic addict. The man was diagnosed with alcoholic addict. I was diagnosed with common cold. I was diagnosed with flu. The man was diagnosed with alcoholic addict. The man was diagnosed with alcoholic addiction. The man was diagnosed with alcoholic addiction. I often confuse the position of Tottori and that of Shimane. I often confuse the position of the Tottori with that of Shimane, but not now. Compare this koi with that one. The doctor diagnosed me with common cold. The doctor diagnosed me with common cold. I was diagnosed with common cold. The doctor diagnosed me with common cold. The doctor diagnosed me with common cold. Is the diagnosis correct? Is the diagnosis really correct? Diagnosis might change depending on the doctors. The diagnosis made by the doctors might change, might vary to some extent, to a certain extent, to some degrees. The diagnosis might vary depending on the doctors. Diagnosis made by the doctors will be vary. Diagnosis made by the doctors vary. Diagnosis made by the doctors will be various according to the doctors. To some extent, to a certain extent, to some extent. Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Which doctor made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Diagnosis. Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Diagnosis. 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 Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Who made the diagnosis? Some people berate the government for the policy failure. Some customers berated the company for no explanation for the delay. The passengers berated the airlines for no explanation for the delay. Don't berate others, but have the considerate feelings. My boss berated me for the wrongdoings. The boss berated the employee for wrongdoings. The boss berated the employee for his negligence at work. The boss berated the employee for his negligence at work. The boss berated the employee for his negligence. The boss berated his negligence. The boss berated the employee for his negligence at work. The boss berated the employee for his negligence. The boss berated the employee for his negligence. The boss berated his employee his junior for his negligence at work. The boss berated the employee, his junior, for negligence at work. Don't blame me for the mistake. Don't blame others for the mistake, for a minor mistake. Don't blame that on me. Don't blame that on me. Don't blame that on others. The customer berated the company for the flaws in the car. Faults in the car. The customer blamed the company for the flaws faucet. Flaws in the car. Flaws in the car. Faults in the car. The customer blamed the company for its flaw in the car. Faults in the car. The customer blamed the company for its faults in the car. The stockholders berated the company for the precipitous drop. The stockholders berated the company for the plunge drop. The stockholders berated the company for its sharp drop. The stockholders berated the company for the sharp drop. Berate. Stop berating me. Stop berating others. Stop berating others. Berate. The man was berated because he was not wearing a mask. Don't berate others for such a minor things. Don't berate others for such a minor thing. The employee is often berated for his negligence at work. The employee is often berated for his negligence at work. The employee is often berated for his negligence at work. I try not to berate others. 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 I berated my junior for his failure to get to the destination on time. The employee was berated for exploiting company's money for private things. The employee was berated for exploiting the company's money for private things. The stockholders berated the company for the sharp plunge drop. The stockholder berated the company for the sharp drop. Everybody will berate for that. If you talk on the phone in the train in Japan, you might be berated because many people find it rude. If you talk on the phone in trains, you will be berated for that in Japan because many people find it rude. The stockholders berated the company for its sharp drop. The building is scheduled to be blown up as the takedown. The building is scheduled to be blown up to take it down. The building is scheduled to be blown up to take it down. The building is scheduled to be blown up to take it down. The building will be blown up to take it down. The bomb blew up the building in order to take it down. The construction worker blew it up with bomb to take it down. The bomb is set the timer to blow the building up in about 5 minutes to take it down. The wind was so strong enough to blow off many things, including garbage cans. The wind was so strong enough to blow off many things. The building is scheduled to be blown up by the bomb to take it down. The bomb blew up the building. The bomb blew up the building. The bomb blew the building up. The bomb blew the building up. The bomb blew the building up. The bomb blew up the building. The building was blown up as taken down by the bomb. The building was blown up by the bomb as a takedown. The bomb blew up the building. The bomb blew the building up. 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 The bomb blew up the building. The building was blown up. The building was blown up. The building was blown up by the bomb. The old building was blown up by the bomb. The old factory was blown up. The old building was blown up as the takedown. The bomb blew up the old building. The bomb blew up old building. The bomb blew the old building up. The bomb blew old buildings up. The bomb blew old buildings up. The bomb blew old buildings up. The bomb blew up old buildings. The bomb blew up old buildings. Earthquake can bring about tsunami. Earthquake can bring tsunami about. I hope the earthquake will not bring about tsunami. I hope that the earthquake happened a few minutes ago will not bring tsunami about. Negligence might bring about mistakes. Negligence might bring mistakes about. Inappropriate remarks might bring about criticism from others. Inappropriate comments might bring criticism from others about. Inappropriate comments might bring about criticism from others. Inappropriate comments might bring about criticism from others. Inappropriate remarks might bring about criticism from others. Inappropriate comments might bring criticism from others about. Negligence might bring about mistakes. Negligence might bring about mistakes. Negligence might bring mistakes about. Unfortunately, the earthquake brought about tsunami, but fortunately, the tsunami did not affect any part of Japan. It was small. Unfortunately, the earthquake brought about tsunami, but unfortunately, all of the tsunamis were small and did not affect any part of Japan. Nothing did damage to the area. Nothing did damage to the area. Nothing did harm to the area. Nothing did harm to the area. Fortunately, nothing did damage to the area. Nothing did damage to the area. Fortunately, nothing did harm to the area. I have to bring back the DVD to the rental shop. I have to bring the DVD back to the rental shop. When can you bring me back? When can you bring back the money to me? When can you bring 5,000 yen back to me? When can you bring back 5,000 to me? Please do not forget that. When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring 5,000 yen back to me? When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring 5,000 yen back to me? When can you bring 5,000 yen back to me? When can you bring 5,000 yen back to me? I have to bring back the notebook to my friends. Back to my friends. I have to bring the notebook back to my friend. I borrowed it for my examination. I have to bring back the notebook back to my friend tomorrow. I have to bring back the notebook to my friend. When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? 5,000 yen to me. 5,000 yen to me. When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? When can you bring back 5,000 yen to me? Some students are still bringing back the scholarships. Some students are still bringing back scholarship. I have to bring back the DVD to the rental shop, otherwise I have to pay extra for the delay. I have to bring the DVD back to the rental shop by today. When do I have to bring the DVD back by? When do I have to bring back the DVD by? When do I have to bring back the DVD by? When do I have to bring the DVD back to the rental shop by? The advertisement from the famous YouTuber brought in many incomes to the company. The advertisement from the famous YouTuber brought in many sales to the company. The eloquent advocacy from the lawyer brought in not guilty to the suspect. The eloquent advocacy from the lawyer brought in not guilty to the suspect. His incredible talent brought in Grammy Award to him. His incredible talent at music brought in Grammy Award to him. His jokes brought in good atmosphere to the nervous meeting. His jokes brought in comfortable atmosphere to the meeting, nervous meeting. His jokes brought comfortable atmosphere in to the meeting. His daily effort of studying brought in the success in his study, in his academic accomplishment. And endless his effort of studying brought in getting the Nobel Prize for Physics. The advertisement by the famous celebrity brought in many customers into the shop. The advertisement by the famous YouTuber brought in many customers and visitors from other prefectures into the city. The advertisement by famous YouTubers brought in many visitors to the tourist spots from other prefectures, even from other countries. I hope the venture will bring in more sales this year. I hope the venture will bring in many incomes, many sales. I hope the campaign will bring in more visitors into the village. I hope the campaign will bring in more visitors to the village. I hope the campaign through social networking service will bring more visitors in to the small village. His talent in music brought in a Grammy Award to him. His talent in music brought in Grammy Award to him. His new invention brought in many sales to the company. His incredible invention brought in threefold sales to the company. I hope the teachers will bring out the talents in the students. I hope the teachers will bring out the talents in students. I hope the teachers will bring the talents in the students out. I think these fancy speakers can bring out the performance of your amplifiers. I think these fancy speakers, high-end speakers, can bring out the performance of your expensive amplifiers. This aquarium can bring out the perfect performance of oil. It's big enough. This aquarium can bring about the perfect performance of the whale because it's big enough. I think the professional field can bring out his performance well. I think professional sports will bring out him well. With a series of usage, a good side of the genes will bring out. A series of usage will bring out good side of genes out. A series of usage will bring out good side of genes, good feature of genes. A series of usage will bring out a feature of genes. I hope my teacher will bring out good sides of me, good sides in me out. The teacher found his talent in paintings and brought out his talents in painting out. The teacher found his talent in painting and tried to bring out his talent in painting. The teacher accidentally found his talent in painting and tried to bring out his talent in painting a lot, as possible as he could. The teacher found his talent in painting and tried to bring out his talent as possible as he could. I think these high-end speakers can bring out the performance of your fancy amplifiers well. I think the opponent will bring out the performance of yourself perfectly because he is strong enough. His talent in painting is brought out well in the painting. His talent in painting is brought out well in the painting. The teacher brought out talents in me at the school. Teachers should bring out talents in students. Teachers should bring out talents in students. Teachers should bring the talents in students out. Teachers should bring out talents in students. Teachers should bring out talents in students. Teachers should bring out talents in students. And these speakers can bring out the performance of your fancy amplifier as well. My common teacher brought out my motivation by saying, "You will see incredible world after the passing of the examination." The boss brought out the motivation from the employees by giving the incentives. The company brought out motivation from the employees. The company brought out motivation from the employees. The company brought out motivation from the employees. The staff in the zoo, for the first time in the world, brought the white polar bear up in his home until he becomes big enough. Until he became big enough. The staff in the zoo brought up the polar bear at his house for the first time in the world until he became big. I was brought up in Japan. I was brought up in Japan. I was brought up in Japan. I have brought up prawn. I have brought up prawn when I was small. I have brought the prawn up when I was small. Zarigani. My grandparents almost brought me up because my parents were busy always. My grandparents brought me up mostly. My grandparents brought me up mostly. My grandparents brought me up mostly because my parents were always busy. I was raised up in Japan. I was brought up in Japan. I was raised up in Japan. It's not easy a task. It's not an easy task to raise up baby, to bring up a baby. It is not an easy task. It is not an easy task to bring babies up, to raise babies up. It is not an easy task to bring up a baby. Let's call off the meeting. The governor is of two minds whether or not the sports meeting should be called off. The governor of the prefecture is of two minds about whether the festival should be held or called off. The governor of the prefecture is in two minds about whether or not the festival should be called off or not. I'm sorry to call you up, but I'd like to have a word with privately. I'm sorry to call you up, but I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. But I'd like to have a word with privately. But I'd like to have a word with you privately. Can I call you up tonight? Can I call you up tonight? I called up the company this morning, but the line was so busy, so I couldn't connect to the company. So I will call up the company later, maybe after lunch time or before closing time. I'm sorry to call you up, but I'd like to have a word with you privately. I called up the city hall. I will call up the city hall. I will call the city hall. A city hall. Prefectural office. I will call up the prefectural office on Monday because it is closed on Saturdays and Sundays. It is very easy to say, but difficult to carry out. 6 months already passed since I said I will carry it out. Since I said I would carry it out. 6 months have already passed since I said I would carry it out. I would carry it out. When can you carry it out? It's very easy to say, but difficult to carry it out. The mission was carried out on schedule. The mission was carried out on schedule. I will carry out the mission tomorrow. I will carry out the mission tomorrow. On schedule. I will carry out the mission tomorrow. I will carry out the training tomorrow. The plan was carried out on schedule. The military exercise was carried out on schedule. The military drill was carried out on schedule. The evacuation drill was carried out on schedule. The school will carry out the evacuation drill tomorrow. The school carried out the evacuation drill. The school carried evacuation drill out. I'd like to cut down on my utility bills. I'd like to cut down utilities. Many people want to cut down on utilities. Many trees are being cut down. Many trees are being cut down. Many trees are cut down. Many trees are being cut down. The company decided to cut down on employees' payment. The company decided to cut down on employees' payment. The company decided to cut down on employees' payments. The company decided to cut down on executive benefits. The company decided to cut down executive benefits. Do you know better way to cut down utilities? The company decided to call off the company picnic to cut down expenses to save money. Electric cars are encouraged to produce to cut down the amount of carbon emission. Electric car, EV, electric vehicle is encouraged to be produced. In order to cut down the carbon emission, it usually takes more time to figure out anything than average people. It takes more than average for me to figure out anything. Figuring out everything usually takes me more time than average. It usually takes more time for me to figure anything out. It takes usually more time for me to figure everything out. It takes longer for me to figure everything out than others. Figuring everything out takes longer than average. Please fill in the documents and submit it to Windows C. Please fill out the document and submit it to the window B. Please fill the document in. Please fill in the document in. Please fill the document out and submit it to the window E. Please fill in the blank in the document and submit it to the window A. Please fill in the blank below. Please fill out the blank below. Please fill the blanks below. Please fill in the blanks below. Please fill out the blanks below. Please fill in the blanks below. Please fill out the blanks below. Please fill in 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 the blanks below. After filling in the document, please submit it to the Windows C. After filling out the document, please submit it to the Windows C. After filling the documents in, please submit it to the Windows C. After filling the documents out, please submit it to Windows C. Fill the documents in. Fill the documents in. Fill the documents out. Fill the documents out. Fill the blanks in. Fill the blanks in. Fill the blanks out. Fill the blanks out. Fill the blanks out. Fill the blanks in. Fill the blanks in. Fill the blanks out. Fill the blanks in. Fill the blanks out. Could you fill up the cup with coffee? Okay, I will fill up the cup with coffee. Could you fill up the cup with coffee? Okay, I will fill up the cup with coffee. The cup is filled up with coffee. The restaurant is always packed, filled with people, crowded with people. The restaurant is always crowded with people, filled with people, packed with people. The bathtub was filled up wine, filled up with wine. The bathtub was filled up with wine. Wine bathtub. The bathtub was filled up with wine. Could you fill up the bathtub with wine? Luxury, too luxury. The cabinet was filled up with fancy cutleries, fancy cups and plates. The bookshelves were packed up with books, many books. I'd like to fill up the rack with fancy audiovisual equipment, instruments, gadgets. I'd like to fill up the shelves with books. I'd like to fill up the bookshelf with many books. I'd like to fill up the bookshelf with books. I'd like to fill the bookshelf up with books. I'd like to fill the bookshelf up with books. I'd like to fill the cabinet up. I'd like to fill the cabinet up with cute cups and plates. I'd like to fill the cabinet up. I'd like to fill the cabinet up with cute plates, cups, and plates. Could you fill the cup up with coffee? Okay, I will fill the cup up with coffee. 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 Okay, I will fill the cup up with coffee. Okay, I will fill up the cup with coffee. I will fill up the cup with coffee. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you!